A very good morning. Hope you had a fantastic night of sleep, and thank you for tuning in for a new episode of the Daily Market Outlook. So we're going to be diving in towards the major dollar pairs and of course the dollar index to see exactly where the dollar is heading next. So over here on the dollar, we are still ranging sideways. However, if we just quickly draw in our premium versus discount tool, but with the range trading tool, we can now see that we're at the 25% mark. Every single time we're at that 25% mark, we bounce back in towards the highs. Every single time we're at the 75% mark, we bounce back in towards the lows. So I am looking for that further upside on the dollar index for the rest of today. So that's the dollar index, very simply said. Now moving on in towards euro dollar. So euro dollar at the moment is still, of course, ranging. However, we are obviously in that 75% mark, so inverse to the dollar index. So I am also looking for further downside on euro dollar potentially for the rest of today. There is a lot of liquidity open underneath the lows, which we have underneath this trend line. So I am looking to see, can we at a certain point in time break below that trend line, potentially head in towards this zone from where we will be looking for a potential long trade. Obviously, if we do push up in towards the highs, we will be looking for shorts from this area of supply. As simple as that. For the rest of today, I'm looking at the 15-minute time frame over here. So now that we've grabbed liquidity at the top of the range, I'm now looking to see, okay, can we see a shift in momentum in towards the downside? So what I want to see this morning during London session is a clean and good reaction to this area of supply, which came in yesterday during CPI. So I'm waiting to see, okay, can we now indeed sustain that bearish order flow, break this low, and then I'll be looking for a trade over here on euro dollar and see if we can get that potential entry model that we are looking for. At the moment, we can already see that we're reacting to this refined area of supply over here. So this doji candle, that is what we're going to be reacting to. So now let's see if we can get that push down. That is what I favor over here for euro dollar for the rest of today. But obviously, if we do move up higher, then we know from where we're going to be looking for a potential short trade once again. So that is pretty much euro dollar over here for you. Now moving on into towards Aussie dollar. So Aussie dollar here, of course, pretty beautiful, exactly as explained in yesterday's video. As we can see, we have broken below the range over here, the range lows. We pushed in towards that 25% mark, and from there we reversed back in towards the highs. Now we're back at this area of supply. So obviously, a lot of people would view this as a break of structure. I to some extent do, but at the same time I'm very wary because I know that we're still in this greater range. At the end of the day, this is the range high, this is the range low, both still have not been taken out, but what I would like to see is now to see if that bearish momentum is real and get that push down below this low, and then either we start seeing, okay, we move back up, and then we can look for long in line with the overall, again, with the overall 4-hour trend, because the 4-hour swing trend is still bullish in towards the highs from this low in towards this high over here. And so it's the daily trend, by the way. But then obviously the high probability longs will come from here. So that would be nice to see. And then for example, something like that. But obviously, if we do move up higher, then we still have a fresh area of supply over here. The overall internal trend is still bearish from this high in towards this low. So this is a push down, a pullback, and now push down. So now that we're seeing that bearish momentum kick in, I'm waiting to see, okay, can we really follow that internal trend through after breaking these lows over here and pulling back in towards this buy before the sell-off? That is now what I'm looking for over here on Aussie dollar. So I hope that's clear. Moving on towards pound dollar, because pound dollar, I took a short on that yesterday in all transparency. So still a little bit slow, went back towards my stop loss. So main reasoning behind this trade, let me just quickly explain it. Obviously over here on the daily, we know that we're all still swing bearish. So we're bearish from this high all the way in towards this low. So after this corrective pattern, this 1, 2, 3 in towards the highs, grabbing liquidity above this high, I'm waiting for that further and next push down. So after breaking the lows over here, we're now looking to see, okay, can we get that further bearish momentum in towards the downside? So over here we had this fractal low. So this is your fractal low over here on this bullish candle. So we broke that fractal low, meaning this is your fractal high, and this over here is your fractal low. Now what I'm waiting for is, of course, to see, okay, now that we've got this pushing towards the downside and we broke that fractal low, we now got that pullback in towards, let's say, the premium fib zones, so-called, like 618, 786. and I'm now kind of trading fractal daily structure in towards the downside. Now, when you look at the 4-hour next of all, the way that the 4-hour is moving is very correctively in towards the highs, guys. So we're moving ascending correctively. So in that case, what I'm then doing is looking and connecting the highs over here, and I see a 1 high, a 2 high, and a third high, excuse me. So I then want to see that further push in towards the downside. So after grabbing liquidity above the range, so obvious liquidity high, we can see straight away we saw that reaction. So I wanted to trade that momentum in towards the downside further to at least obviously grab the liquidity underneath this low and trade it in towards this area of demand. I was trading the momentum at that time, and that's why I saw this trade as a good trade after grabbing this liquidity high, that daily fractal structure. And obviously I'm still in it and still waiting to see if we can get that further downward momentum in towards the lows. Moving in towards the lower time frame, 15-minute, we can obviously see that we've been trading in drawdown this morning, just before kind of like the London Open. We saw some good momentum, or during London Open, we saw some good momentum. Now we've just pulled back in towards the highs. Nothing really to be too worried about in towards, obviously, this area of consolidation. So now let's see if that can hold. And from there, our stop loss is nice and safe. From there, see that bearish momentum in towards the downside. Of course, it's Friday, so I will be managing it more aggressively. Once we move in towards here, then I'll just be putting my stop loss to break even. Yeah, let's see, whatever. If it hits stop loss, it hits stop loss. But that is what I'm trading at the moment in full transparency. Even shared it inside Discord, obviously, as I will be doing during the coming weeks. Now grabbing or targeting over there, and then obviously with a 1 to 3, because eventually our main target is down below over here around that 126 level of this area of daily and 4-hour demand, below the obvious range lows. So now moving on in towards NZDUSD, because because NZDUSD obviously is one big range and barcode. So this is the biggest barcode of them all. Now the 4-hour, not too much to say, but the 15-minute has been moving very interestingly. As we can see, the 15-minute is still bearish from this high all the way in towards this low. We still have liquidity open here on the 4-hour time frame, which I've explained in the past few days. But obviously we pulled back in towards the highs then for the downside momentum. Now, I'm not going to mark out all the structure here because we're just range trading. But as we can clearly see, we tapped back in towards that area of supply over there, moved in towards the downside. Now, the internal trend for sure is bearish over here after breaking this low. So what I'm now looking for is to see, or by the way, we broke kind of like this internal low, then we broke this internal high. Now we broke this internal low again. So I'm looking to see if that bearish momentum on NZDUSD can now also sustain. Let's see, maybe if we break this low, you can look for a trade upon a pullback in towards the supply zone, which is then created. That is NZDUSD for you, and then trading towards on the 4-hour what we have still open below over here, the liquidity low, and then obviously targeting this area of demand, refined demand on the 4-hour. So that is that from NZDUSD. Not too much to say over here about the daily time frame. So that's that. Moving on in towards our last pair, which is obviously going to be gold. So gold over here, and I still have my drawings on from yesterday's video because I haven't been doing too much with gold in all honesty. So what we can see here on gold is something that we've anticipated for a long time, and that is obviously that we've grabbed the liquidity below this low. And this is what I love about liquidity lows. Often they can be perceived as areas of supply and demand. In this particular situation, as an area of demand, we grab the liquidity below the low and we move back in towards the highs. So what I'm looking to see at this moment in time is, okay, are we going to start breaking above this range? Obviously the supply in this range has pretty much been taken out. So let's see if we can start breaking, for example, this high first of all. Push above that high, then see that pullback, and then maybe already that further momentum in towards the highs, and skip out on this area of demand. If we kind of respect on the lower time frame, so for example the 15-minute, focus over there, I don't really see that much. But and obviously we had kind of like this over here. This was already filled straight away, and then you see how we move in towards that supply zone. But because we've already filled it, the push down is of course not as strong. So you really want to see the momentum shift, of course. So let's see if we can break that low, and then maybe you could look for one more short opportunity back down towards that daily / 4-hour area of demand. Otherwise, it does look like this could have been just like the liquidity swipe to now fuel the move back in towards the highs. So wait for that momentum to shift. Make sure to check out what the 1 hour and the 15-minute are doing throughout this day. Preferably you just want to see this high get broken. First of all, that is the main focus for now, because that is the high which broke this low over here. So it would be a big achievement for gold to look for those further longs. So that's it for today, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed this episode. As always, leave a like and join Discord. See you inside and have an amazing weekend. Thanks.